this?
All right. So, hi everyone. Welcome. I'm Kelsey Klismet. I work in the Center for Entrepreneurship, and today we have Scott Cole with us, who is an entrepreneur and resident at Madison College, and he's going to be sharing information about the Madison College Challenge and how you can participate.
All right, we got Jada coming in. Thanks, Kelsey. Thanks for the intro. Hey, everyone, welcome. Thank you for attending today. And we will blow through some slides here, but then at the end, feel free to ask any questions if you have them. And then Kelsey will send out the slides, and this is also being recorded, so you can go back to it if you want to take another pass later on. As Kelsey said, I'm an EIR entrepreneur in residence, so I own and run several businesses, but I also teach a lot and coach a lot about business. So I'm not just giving you theory, and the other coaches, we don't just give you theory. We are here working with you in the trenches, kind of doing it. And that's what we bring to the challenge. Like we think about this in a pretty unique way. And oftentimes where I like to begin with the challenge is many of us come to the idea of, starting a business. It's coming from something kind of squishy in our heads, something nebulous and something that we're not really sure about, but maybe it's one of those things where it keeps you awake at night, or, you're out for a walk, with a dog or something, and you're like, man, I do this thing, and I wonder if there's something in it. I wonder if there's a business there. And that's a really cool place to be. It's a really wonderful place to begin. And that's kind of where we begin with this challenge. So the way that we're bringing it to life, the way we're bringing it into the world, and kind of our unique point of view on it, is we're doing it through a business. And you'll learn not only through this process that we'll take you through leading up to the thing in May, which I'll get into in a bit, you're going to learn that sometimes you have an idea that is really more fit to be a hobby than it is a business, and that's actually okay. Knowing that early is actually super beneficial versus getting too far down the road. You're like, oh my God, there's no way to make money on this, or it's not what I wanted. So this process will help you figure that out along the way. And if you make that pivot, totally fine. There's nothing wrong with pulling back. But really what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out, does this idea, this kind of squishy thing that we've been noodling for maybe in some cases years, is it possible to bring it to life through business? And we're here at the college to help you through that process. And it's a lot of fun for us to do. And it should be exciting for you as well. So what it culminates in is this, what we call a pitch day. And a pitch day is an opportunity for you to be in front of a panel of judges. The judges are sponsors to the college. They're partners with our college, and they're extremely generous with their resources and helping us do what we do. And they'll also help you get to where you want to be. So it's not just the sponsors aren't just there, the judges aren't just there to render an opinion. They're actually here to help as part of the competition, but then beyond. So we'll make introductions. There'll be opportunities to meet the judges, and I certainly encourage you to reach out to them post competition and post challenge to continue the relationship and keep growing. But you're going to be pitching to them, and what that means is you want to convince them that you've developed, went from idea to a roadmap, to something that's credible for you to potentially achieve the thing that you want to achieve. Does it have to be perfect? No. I mean, it's not about perfection. It's about being good. Have you really thought about this process? Have you thought about your process and your needs and what those business needs might be? Have you pressure tested that? Have you taken it out into the market and actually asked other people about it? It's kind of weird right now with COVID. It's hard to get out and kind of beat the bushes a little bit, but it is possible to get some initial feedback on it. So they're gonna judge you based on sort of the credibility of the plan that you've created. Will it take you from idea to eventually the thing that you want to build? And then the executive summary is fundamentally the written version of that. I mean, there's a lot. There's probably 1,000 ways to write an executive summary. We'll give you some templates. We'll help you through this process. But the executive summary is kind of the written version of that. And these two really work together. Oftentimes people like to read a thing. Sometimes they like to be, see you live and see how well you present and emote. And they want to see those things together. So that's why we really have sort of two deliverables for the, the actual competition. So a pitch day, and again, it'll be virtual, but then there'll be also a written thing that you'll hand in advance of the competition. So this is not like a traditional business plan competition. I've been in those, I've judged those. The college has had those in the past, and where you make this massive tome of knowledge and boom, you put it on the desk, and it feels good because you've accomplished this big thing. But that's really not what this is about. This is, aside from potentially winning some money and other things, we really, really want you to make progress on your business and to move forward. So it's not just an academic exercise. It's not just a thing you're doing just because. Hopefully this is rubber meets the road, real stuff to help you get to where you want to be. So yeah, you will create artifacts or things that you will use to grow and make your business move forward. You will create things like business plans and executive summaries and pitch decks and a lot of other tools along the way here. But you're not going to be judged on this big monolithic thing at this point in time. You can always create a business plan. College has lots of fantastic courses and resources to help you build that business plan. And I strongly encourage you to take advantage of those. I don't love making business plans. I've got my whole opinion on that, but going through the exercise is extremely valuable for an entrepreneur. So definitely look into that next step once you're done with the competition. And I know that a lot of times when we say, hey, you're pitching in front of a group of people, there's a lot of fear. People are like, oh my God, I got you on the screen, and yeah, we're gonna work with you on that. So it's not a beauty contest. You don't have to worry about it being perfect and the best stage presence ever. We will get you ready and we will help you get over that hump. And typically they're about a 5 to 7 minute pitch. You don't want it too short because you feel like you're just throwing up words on the judges, and if it's too long, then the judges are kind of tuning out. So about a 5 to 7 minute range is kind of what we'll target, and we'll narrow it down before the actual pitch day and tell you it's going to be 7 minutes. You should cover these things and do your thing. Yeah, there's going to be some money available. And one time we did it in particular categories. Exactly how it will be awarded and the amounts, that's TBD. The team's still kind of figuring that out. And last year, because we had to pivot pretty quickly from our original plan to the virtual competition, and we ended up giving, I think, money to all the people that made it through, because it was just such a crazy time that it was just like, you made it. Everybody got something. It was a pretty generous reward for everyone who got through it. This year, maybe we'll do like a first through third or first through fourth. Maybe there's someone who stood out and they'll get a kicker too. So all that is sort of TBD. But typically the college is really generous with the awards, and we really try to look at it like, how do we really help our entrepreneurs move forward? And just because you don't get money doesn't mean there aren't other things that you win. We'll connect you with other resources we have. If you have a thing that needs to be patented, our Vice President Brian Woodhouse can help you run that gauntlet. If you need connections with attorneys, we can help you there. If you need connections with accountants, there's a lot of stuff that you get out of here as sort of in-kind benefit. So just because you might not get a little suitcase of money at the end of it, don't despair. There's a lot of opportunity to save money and to move your business forward as well. And I know a lot of times people feel like, okay, I'll sign up for it, and then they feel like, oh no, now what? I'm alone here. I'm doing this thing, and I got life, I got school, I got jobs, I got virtual schooling with kids, blah blah blah, everything else going on. But no, you're not alone on this. You're going to be coached through it. We're going to help you through it in a variety of ways, and we're going to cover just a range of topics to make sure that you're successful. So the coaching is going to happen once you sign up, and I'll go through the details of what you need to be accepted into the competition. Once you sign up, the coaching will begin, where you're meeting with one of your mentors, one of your coaches, and you should meet with them at least once a month. I think that's our requirement, at least once a month. But if you can meet maybe twice, that's potentially even better, at least early on, just to help focus your ideas and focus your energy and your time. And the coaches can really help you with that. And then we'll be starting a boot camp in March. I'll give you details on that in just a moment. And that boot camp is something that you'll be involved in with other folks in the competition. You'll all be learning together, and it's a great opportunity to learn a lot, ask a lot of questions, and then just move week by week by week by week, converging on those deliverables of getting that exec summary created and getting a really nice pitch deck built. So I'm one of the coaches. Some folks already paired up with me, but we have other fantastic coaches as well. Gina brings an awesome perspective to what we're doing. Brian does as well. both successful entrepreneurs, both have their own businesses, both have their own lives. So they know not just on a business level, but also sort of on a human level, what you're going through. And they will help you on a number of fronts. If you're stuck or you're concerned or you need help, reach out to them and just be direct and be like, you don't have to soft shoe it with them. You can just tell them like, I'm stuck here and I really need some advice, and try a couple different EIRs out. Like I bring a different perspective than Brian does, based on our backgrounds and all these other things. So sometimes it's nice to, here's my main coach, I'm going to this person, I'm going to schedule some time with Gina because of, these reasons. And that's perfectly okay to do. So feel free to tap into not just the EIRs, but we have other resources across the college. There's a variety of stuff, and the EIRs can help direct you towards those other resources as needed. So our fundamental goal is going from this kind of gnarly thing in our brains that's confusing and poorly thought out, and just week by week, helping you make sense of it and getting a very clear idea, and then getting a very clear plan to achieving that idea. But ultimately, it depends on you doing. This, again, is not an academic exercise. You're not getting a letter grade for it. It's really about you doing the things you need to do. And if you sort of wait for the whole thing to happen and be like, I'm just gonna take a bunch of notes for the next 2 months and then you do it later, you'll never do it. You need to be actively participating as you go, and that's where you're going to reap the rewards from it and the great benefit. And you'll be amazed how far you go in just a couple of weeks. And if you determine like, hey, this business idea I had 8 weeks ago stinks, and I want to do something else, that's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. But this template, this framework, these skills you're learning will apply later on for the next thing you do, because you're an entrepreneur at heart. And you may not know it yet, but you're going to probably do many businesses, and you've got many ideas. So just rinse and repeat. It's perfectly okay. So here's some agendas for the bootcamp rather. They'll be starting in March, and it looks like they're going to be meeting on Wednesdays, and we're going to have them from 12:30 to 1:45. And so that'll be a live instructor-led presentation. We're going to go through a specific topic. For example, maybe 1 week we'll be focusing on the why and beginning as an entrepreneur and what that means to you and what you should be thinking about and doing at this early stage. And we go all the way into kind of really nuts and bolts stuff like your financials. And that's oftentimes one of the most difficult areas for entrepreneurs is, dealing with the money and dealing with the spreadsheets. And it's we like to avoid it because we want to do the thing we want to do. We want to be jockeying spreadsheets all day long, but it's really necessary. And the judges pay particular close attention to this because it is often neglected. So these types of fundamentals are super critical for your success. And we're going to help you cover that and connect with other resources who can then take you to a next level. So week by week, you'll be going through a different topic. We'll be rotating EIRs throughout this, so you'll get a lot of perspective on this as well. But the boot camp is absolutely essential for you to be successful. It's required for you to finish the program. So to begin, you really want to go to this link and you want to submit. There's kind of two things you got to do to get into it. Just a paragraph of your idea. This doesn't have to be, you're not writing War and Peace here. Just a paragraph of, hey, I'm thinking about doing, this thing, and this is what I thought about. Here's what I've done. Here's how I've dabbled with it. Just a pretty informal description. But, if you've made some progress or you've prototyped it or you've trialed it in some way, well, that's good to know. Just tell us your quick story. Like, what is it? And what do you think it should be? Like, what's your dream with this thing? Is it just to make a few bucks? Is it to have a great quality of life? Better retirement, whatever. What is that end goal? And that's oftentimes good to know. And then for number 3, we want you to record a quick video. This is not LucasArts. Like, you don't have to have, stage production quality stuff. Do it right on your phone or on your webcam or whatever. And it's basically tell us the same thing that you wrote, but we want to see from you, what's this idea that you have, and sort of let your personality come through. And again, don't worry about production quality. Sometimes people get kind of cranked up about that. Just super quick. How many minutes? I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you're comfortable doing. You don't have to ramble on and on and on, but just kind of cover this kind of where you are and where you want to be with it. And that's all we ask. And that's sort of your entry into the competition then. And then you'll get a message from, likely Kelsey will be reaching out to you. She'll pair you up with one of our coaches. So you'll either get paired up with Gina, Brian, or me. And then our next step is to reach out to you and start scheduling the coaching session. And I try to get at least, like I said, at least one meeting a month, sometimes two. It just depends on where that entrepreneur is, how fast they're moving, variety of factors, but it's really between you and your coach to decide. But again, don't delay. So here's some key deadlines that you'll need to know as you're looking and planning your spring here. So Friday, March 12th is the deadline to apply. So you've got a little time to think about it, but really we want to, get these in, and then, these are the folks that'll make the competition, and then those that didn't make the cut are, there'll be others. So don't worry, don't be like, oh no, I didn't make it, or I missed the deadline. We do this pretty frequently, and we're still here to help. So don't feel like the door is shut on you if you happen to miss this. But for specifics for the competition itself, yeah, that is the deadline that we're setting. We just have to draw a line there. Then we do like a kind of a finalist round. So we are paying attention, like who's moving forward, who's treating this like this is real and it should be treated as real, versus those who are like, I'm just kind of puttering right now and I'm not really sure, and I'm just kind of collecting information. That's okay to be in that second camp, but we really want you to, kind of grind this thing out over the next couple of months and try to bring it as, far forward as you can. So that commitment is absolutely critical. And we're going to be looking for that. So not, if we end up getting, say, 30 people apply, we're not going to accept all 30, just logistically, it's hard to do that. So we will be making some cuts. And then we've got Wednesday, March 24th, we're going to start the boot camps, 6 weeks. They're required for your success. You got to be there. They will be recorded, and I get it. You got jobs, life, everything else going on. So don't worry if you like, oh my God, I missed it, but I'm going to download and watch it. Ask questions, connect back with your EIR and be like, hey, I didn't understand, or I want more detail. If there's a particular EIR that's presenting that day and you want to reach out to them directly to get more info, absolutely do it. Don't delay. And then Friday, May 7th, that's the big day. That's your pitch day. And again, you'll be coached, you'll be trained, you'll be prepped. You will not be alone. You will be ready for that day. And Kelsey and the college will work with you also to understand all the other logistics, so that you're ready. You don't really have to worry about all that other kind of sideshows, crazy stuff. We'll take care of that for you. You focus on your presentation, and you focus on your plan. You focus on moving your business forward as far as you can. All right. So this is the link that you're going to want to go to, and the challenge to begin signing up. And that is the end of my formal presentation here. And now we'll take questions. So Kelsey, if anyone else wants to fire away with questions or concerns or anything else, we're here to help.
I'm just going to say one thing here, Scott. You don't have to be a business student either to register. And I think that's super important to know. If you have a business idea and you might be a culinary student or an IT student, no matter what it is, if you have a business idea, you are more than welcome to participate. There's also no age limit. So anybody who is a Madison College student, anytime from either a credit or non-credit student between 2018 and now, you are eligible to participate. So that's also important to make note of.
Great point. Thank you, Kelsey. Yeah, I'll second that. Sometimes people are like, well, I'm not a business geek. Like, not yet, but you might be one. So yeah, don't worry if you're, not a business student or whatever, that doesn't matter. I mean, we're businesses emerge from all sorts of disciplines. So thank you for bringing it up, Kelsey. Mm-hmm. Jada, you had a question to the team. What if you don't know how to write a business summary? Yeah, I mean, we're not born knowing this. Exactly. So that's why we're here. So the boot camp and this process is going to help you work through all the pieces and components. There are literally thousands of ways you could do that. And you'll write, I've written business plans, I've written summaries, I've written pitches, and you'll do it and you're like, oh, this is so great. And then one person will love it and the next person will hate it and be like, oh, you missed this, you didn't put enough time in the competition, you didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. There's always an opinion, but what we're doing here is helping you build a framework so that you'll be able to mix and match and add pieces in and out as you need them in the future. So yeah, you don't have to know. We're here to help you through that process. You have to write it for you. We can't write it, but ultimately we're helping you understand what should go in there, what's typically seen, what makes sense, how do you substantiate the content that's in there, how do you make it really strong and compelling. That's what it's all about. You bet. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in chat or raise hand or whatever you want to do.
Jeremy said, is a business summary the same as a business plan?
In a sense, think of it as like a mini version of it, a very succinct version. So you take it. What's weird is oftentimes you write a backup second. A lot of times, best practice is you actually write the full on business plan first, and you distill that down into a kind of a 2-page version of it, an executive summary. We're kind of going backwards. There's a time to do all that. What we're doing, you know, a 2-page version that'll hit everything from like, who's your customer, who's your competition, how do you make money, what's your sales pipeline, what's your marketing plan, blah, blah, blah. All these critical areas that you will find in a full-on business plan. We'll also have them in the exec summary, but just a really to the point, you know, you're not, and the way I evaluate business exec summaries is like every sentence has to have value. Like there's no room for fluff and prose. It's like, like high point, high point, high point, high point, shoom, shoom, shoom. And then, the way those are oftentimes looked at by judges or banks or venture money or angels is that they kind of skim it and see like, okay. And there's just sort of key things that they're scanning. And that's what it's meant to do, is just in a short amount of time, give a pretty quick view of what your thing is. And do you have a credible roadmap to get there? And the purpose of that plan is oftentimes to get that first meeting with somebody. You know, you're not trying to tell them everything about your business from genesis to, you know, fruition. You're really just trying to give them a heads up, like, here's where I'm at, here's where I want to be, here's some of the work I've done, here's how I've substantiated and tested that work, here's where the data comes from, and would you like to have a meeting with me? You know, that sort of thing, or, you know, whatever the next steps. Jeremy said, what kind would they bring to the Shark Tank? I'm not sure what they bring to the Shark Tank. I haven't watched the show in a while. I don't know if they really bring a written thing, but your presentation that you're going to do, your live presentation to the judge, is kind of Shark Tanky. I mean, you're up there and you're telling about your thing, and you're telling about, you know, not just your idea. And it's not really a demo day. It's a little hard to demo sometimes over Zoom, but really it's about that roadmap. Again, here's my idea, here's where I want to be, and here's my plan to get there. Does this make sense? And it's really up to you to sell that and make it very credible. And the way you make it credible is not just like creative language. It's, I've tested it. Like, I've gone in front of it, and I've built this thing, and I've done this, and I know the costs. I know the stuff. So, all right, more questions.
Another thing to add, if you maybe work with a group of friends and they go to Madison College and you together have a business idea, you can submit as a group as well. I know in the past we had some people from other areas. If you maybe are in the manufacturing and you thought of this awesome idea for a new part or something and you want to submit it as a group, you're more than welcome to. So as long as you're all Madison College students, you'll be able to participate as well.
Thank you, Kels. That's spot on. Yeah, sometimes that team component is really critical. We'll hit on some of that throughout the process of forming a team. What does your team look like? And you know, there's oftentimes a lot of loneliness on this pathway, so we'll cover that throughout this journey. But Kelsey's right. If you got team members who are in your orbit that you want to bring on, or you're unsure, or whatever, they are certainly welcome to participate with you. We want them to be students, of course. More questions. Oh, Jada, what if you have an idea and have a setup but don't? Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic, Jada. If you've got an idea, I don't know what you mean by and have the setup, but I mean there's probably a lot to that. But you don't have the financial stuff. That's great. Like, everyone starts in different places for a variety of reasons. So when we design the challenges, we try to make it structured enough so that it doesn't matter if you're like, I don't know, I just have this thing I think about in the shower that I want to bring into the world, you know. And then so you're at that stage all the way to, yeah, maybe I have you know, a hobby that I've been doing and I charge money for it at craft fairs or something like that, and I'm, you know, blah blah blah. So you've got people all over the spectrum. And yeah, the financial stuff is certainly something we'll cover. We'll help you understand how to create budgets. We'll help you understand how to create a pro forma. And I know that's some of the difficult things to chew on at some points, but we'll definitely help you with that. Can you make an entry? Yep, yeah, you can make an entry, Jada. So don't worry, as long as you're a student. So, yep. Any other questions? Feel free to fire away. You're welcome.
I have one more.
You bet.
If this is an idea that has come forth in an already existing business, would that count as an entry, or does this have to be like a business starting up?
No, you can. I mean, if your idea was, hey, I want to buy a Culver's franchise, you know, and go do that. It's like, okay, great. You're where you are now, but then you want to, become an owner. There's a process you go through. There's a way of doing that. Just because you apply to Culver's to be a franchise owner doesn't mean you're going to get it. Same like Chick-fil-A, they're super selective about who gets to be a franchise owner. So there's that process you have to go through, that development as a business owner and entrepreneur. So yeah, you can definitely be modeling after an existing idea, and that's actually not a bad place to start, because you aren't starting from a completely unknown and unproven and gray area. You can point to that, and oftentimes there's market data. There's already existing customers, there's problems being solved. So you have validation that the thing you want to do is valuable out there in the marketplace. So you've got some beginning points to kind of leap off of. The challenge then is, like, if you're modeling your business after something that already exists, how are you different? How do you want to be different? Are you, and we'll go through competition and brand promise and value proposition and all those types of kind of fancy business terms for what we're talking about. But ultimately, that need is already being met in the marketplace in one way, shape, or form. Maybe not to the best that it could be, but how are you going to kind of then take your place there, and what's your strategy going to be successful? But yeah, you certainly can apply. All right. Give a couple more seconds here, but feel free to send questions after the fact if you have them, and Kelsey will send out the link and some of the other goodies here. But we encourage everyone to apply. Don't delay. Let's get to it. Let's make some businesses. And thank you for attending today. I really